Del Rodriguez, and this is Flabonga Month the Cube. Yes, nailed the name of the show. With me today, I have a fintech slash marketing slash wizard slash legend. I've hyped you up a little bit. Ash Gibson. Hey, Ash.
Hey Dale, thanks for having me.
How,
That is
thank you
very
for being
kind
on the show.
words. I'm not sure all of them are true, but I appreciate it.
I mean, I think you're fairly well known within the UK accounting space. You work for a very large company, and a lot of people know who you are. So,
Maybe. We'll see.
okay. So before we went live, because if people don't know, we actually do a little bit of pre-prep to make sure sound stuff works. We were talking about music. So first question: what's the best festival slash gig you have been to?
Ooh, um, that's really hard to choose, but I love Glastonbury. I've been 2019 and last year. Is it last year? What year are we? This year.
2023.
This year. Um, it was amazing. So that's probably my most favorite festival, Glastonbury. It's just something for everyone. It's yeah, just the best vibe. Everyone's really happy. There's lots to do, lots to see. I've been really lucky with the weather both years. It's been like hot and sunny and great, and we've always been with really great friends. So yeah, it's the best for me.
Okay. And best gig, like best artist you've seen?
And that's a really hard question. I've been to lots of gigs because I really love music. But I'd probably say my most recent favorite is Fred again at Alexandra Palace a month or two ago. He brought in a bunch of guests, so Skrillex and Romy and Mike Skinner from the streets, and he just DJ'd for 5 hours nonstop, and it was just lots of fun, lots of dancing.
Oh wow, that sounds like an interesting mix. So Skrillex and Mike Skinner from the Streets. Those are two. They're not the same kind of genre, right? So what, were they mixed together while they were performing, or how did that work?
Yeah, I mean, kind of, I guess you could say hip hop and dance
Okay.
combined. I think it seems like they're all pretty good mates, and they always play together. So
Sorry, just
yeah,
gonna give a shout out. Andrew Cameron. Hey Andrew. He says morning. No, sorry, afternoon. Hey Andrew, how's it going?
hello,
Thank you for joining us.
hey Andrew.
Okay. And also, you mentioned a certain genre of music that was new to me that you don't particularly like, and I think it might be new to a lot of other people. What was it called again?
Is hip opera.
Hip opera.
Something like that, yeah. I'd like to know if anybody has heard of hip opera and if they have, whether they like it or loathe it.
Again, like I said,
People
it's
don't
new
have
to
to answer
me.
now, they could answer in the comments as a follow up. But yeah, yeah,
I'm going to Google it
interesting.
later, honestly. Okay, not to embarrass you, what are the last three tracks that are played on your Spotify or streaming platform of choice?
I don't know. Can I check? I closed my
I think you
Spotify
can
before
check.
this.
It's okay.
Okay,
Take your
I'll have
time.
to
I mean,
open it up.
I'll tell you mine. So
How
it's
can you
"We
see
Own the
that?
Night." Sorry.
How can you
Oh,
even see what your last?
I've got my phone in front of me just down here, and it's on there because I knew I was going to ask the question. I know I'm prepared. Very mean of me. So
Oh,
Dance
yeah,
Gavin
okay.
Dance, "We Own the Night," Bewitched, Sailor V. I know, and some Linkin Park.
Tunes, all great tunes. Um, I was
And going back to
probably
comments,
listening to
Andrew's not heard of it either, by the way. He's going to go check it out.
Andrew. I don't actually recommend checking it out. It's probably best to avoid it. Um, I think probably the last tracks I listened to would have been Romy because I listened to her album kind of on repeat since it came out. So the last three tracks on her album is Mid Air, Enjoy Your Life, and She's on My Mind. Great album
Okay, okay.
if you like that kind of stuff.
What kind of genre is that?
Again, like it's a bit of a trend at the moment. I think um, I'm in my like dance phase. It would seem like
Okay,
dance
okay.
beats and vibey.
Ah, Does that mean you'll be doing any of the accounting house mafia events in the future?
Oh yeah, they look really cool. I've not been to one yet. I think they've got one on Halloween, but I have a 3-year-old, and she would be very upset if I was not home on Halloween. But that one looks like lots of fun. Are you going to it?
No, no, ditto. Same reason. I've got a 3-year-old, and it's Halloween, so I won't be going to it. But they did something at the digital accountancy show, and yeah, they played some pretty cool bangers. I got to give them a shout for that. Okay, another silly
Awesome.
question, and I can't believe I haven't asked this of you already because we met several times before. If you were a biscuit, what kind of biscuit would you be that accurately portrays your personality and why? But don't just pick your favorite biscuit.
It's really easy for me. It would be a ginger nut.
And how does that
Um,
portray your personality?
well, ginger for one, a little bit spicy, a little bit crunchy,
Hmm.
but delightful at the same time, and good with a cup of tea.
Good answer. All right, next question. Um, as many people know, you are from New Zealand. When did you move to the UK, and what kind of drove that decision?
I landed in London on the 1st of January 2015. Um, so the reason for moving was the Xero. So I've been here for
Mm.
nearly 9 years. Um, I worked in a PR agency in Wellington, and I had Xero as a client, and I loved working with them. And I met lots of great people from Xero New Zealand. While I was in agency, I got to go to a XeroCon in Auckland and work on that from agency side, and I loved everything that I saw and felt, and just thought I need to work for this company. So managed to. I applied for a job here in the UK because my husband and I were keen on traveling and working elsewhere before we kind of settled down. Um, and well, we weren't married at the time, but
Mm-hmm.
so kind of the rest is history.
So, is your husband from New Zealand as well, or is he from the UK?
He is from New Zealand, yes.
Okay, okay. So you mentioned that you worked with like Xero externally, and they had such an amazing kind of culture and values that you want to work for them. Can you define it? Can you distill it? What specifically went? You know what? I'm going to stop doing what I already do. Which you love. I assume you liked your job already. What drew you to Xero specifically?
I think Xero is a really special company, and I think hopefully most of the people, accountants and bookkeepers and our partners, app partners who work with us kind of can see that, but it's just filled with a lot of really great people. Our values are really cool. XeroCon was kind of like the epitome of Xero as a business. And you've been to a XeroCon, like you go there and you just feel like there's so much going on. Everyone's really excited. Everyone's happy. Everyone's talking about tech. It's really forward thinking.
Mm.
Back in New Zealand as well, 9 or 10 years ago, Xero was like, it was already pretty big. It was the biggest, kind of most exciting tech company to work for. Everyone who was interested in tech wanted to work for Xero.
Mm.
Um, and it really felt that way. It felt like it was moving fast, and there was lots going on, and there was lots of opportunity to be a part of. And yeah, I remember seeing Rod Drury on stage, doing his opening keynote presentation, and there were bookkeepers dressed in like pink tutus at the front of the stage, and they were whooping and cheering at every kind of announcement that he made. And it just felt like a really cool community that I just thought that'd be really fun to be a part of.
All right, that's cool. That's cool. Um, I'm intrigued. What is a Tim Tam? People talk to me about these things. I've never seen one, never had one, but they are like a Kiwi thing. What are they?
I actually think they come from Australia,
Oh,
but we
okay,
do
my
have them
bad.
in New Zealand. No, they're
Apologies.
in New Zealand too. Equally as delicious in New Zealand. They are kind of like they're a better version of a penguin.
A
Um,
better
they're
version of a
like,
penguin.
yeah, you can get them with caramel in the middle. They've got like biscuity, wafery stuff in the middle, and then they're kind of covered in chocolate. But they kind of have the reason. One of the reasons people really like them is you can bite the top and the bottom, and then dunk it into your tea or coffee, and then drink your tea or coffee through the biscuit. Also can be done with milk for children, and so that's apparently like a thing. I've never done that because it seems messy, and I don't like messy biscuits, but I do enjoy a Tim Tam. And I had one recently when someone came over from New Zealand and brought us some, so that was great.
Banging. Trying to think. What was the biggest culture shock when you moved from New Zealand to the UK?
I don't think I really faced culture shock, to be honest. I think the UK is very similar to New Zealand in terms of, yeah, I guess just the way that people are. Like, definitely it's a lot more multicultural here, which was not a shock. It was more just like, this is so cool. The winter was colder. We got to have snow. Where I'm from, we don't get snow really. So, but again, it's not really culture. It's also not that much of a shock because I wasn't surprised by it. But yeah, I don't know. It didn't feel like a culture shock. I feel like I kind of cheated, when people go traveling and they go and live somewhere new, the cool thing about it is getting to really experience different cultures. And actually I kind of landed in a bit of a replica of New Zealand, just bigger and a little bit grayer.
Yeah,
but yeah, multicultural, which I love about it.
And I take it, have you lived elsewhere in the UK, or have you been London based the whole time?
No, I've been London based the whole time, yeah.
Which is better, North or South London?
My preference is north, but only because I never lived in south. Like, south looks very nice and green, and I have visited plenty of times. I don't really mind. I live like northeast. I love northeast. It's
Okay.
it's a bit grimy and cool.
Okay. Let's delve into the serious businessy type questions, because obviously people come here for market insights. I often have students watching this, by the way. I didn't realize I did until a few contacted me saying, hey, we like the stuff you're doing. And they would love insights in how to get into like certain professions. So for the younger or upcoming aspiring marketers, what would you recommend they do to become good at marketing? That's a very poorly worded question, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I think, in my experience, I think there's different elements of marketing, isn't there? So, like, there's a lot of marketing that's very analytical, and there's a lot of it that's very communications and customer based. In my opinion, a good marketer really understands the customer, or is interested in the customer need, because you can't come up with a strategy or a plan without first thinking about the customer and empathizing with them and understanding their experience and kind of trying to walk a bit in their shoes. So I think an interest in people and psychology and the way that people make decisions is a really, really great place to start. And I think actually can help you in a lot of different careers. So if I think back to my degree, I did actually do a degree in public relations and communications, but I did marketing as part of that. But I think the stuff that taught me the most was the psychology side of it. And we had, I think I did a couple of psychology papers, which were really fascinating. But yeah, and then kind of learning to understand the data, and you've got to test things, and you've got to put things out in market and see how it goes, and then review it and adapt it and ask questions and do some research and kind of analyze that information. So those are probably the places I would start.
Okay, so again, focusing on the metrics and analytics to get that kind of the foundational bedrock, but also the ability to be customer or person focused. Fair to say?
Yeah, and the like I would say, the analytics and the reporting side of things was definitely, still probably isn't really my strong point, and it's something that I've learned over time being in marketing is a really valuable skill to have. And I really had to kind of push myself to feel comfortable in that space, because my kind of background is, how do we communicate this message? What's the best way to communicate? What channels should we be using? What's the right way to say it and the right words to use, and the right sort of pain points to play up, etc.
Okay. I'm tempted to ask you some mean questions, not because I'm mean, but I want to get some nuggets, but I don't want to be mean to you because you're such a nice person. Okay, semi-mean question. What is the hardest thing you've had to communicate or plan to communicate while working at Xero?
I get to be the one that writes or edits or sends the price rise emails, and they are the worst to send every time. We're a business. We have to put our prices up like everyone else. We have to deal with, what's going on in the market and running a profitable business and, all those things. But personally, and like we as a team, we always hate having to put the price up. And so the way we say it is so important. And, for anyone who's a Xero customer, you would have got an email from us a few months back about this. We were very matter of fact, and that's kind of the way we did it, because, there's nothing that makes the news of a price rise better, right? It just is what it is, and you just have to move on. So we opted to kind of not go into talking about the why, because there's lots of reasons why businesses put up their prices, and, do you really care? Probably not. You just want to know what the price is, right? So that was kind of where we focused this time. But yeah, that's probably my least favorite part of the job.
Okay, let's take it on a positive. I think I know how you can answer this, but what is the favorite thing of your job? And let's go for a day to day. So you're doing things day to day. What's your favorite kind of activity that you get to do on a regular basis that make the job enjoyable for you?
Talking to people like you, Dale, obviously. Yeah. Like genuinely though, I love chatting to our partners and our small business customers, and just hearing, what you're up to, like building relationships. I've been involved in the Xero partner community in particular for most of my time at Xero, and through that time I've had lots of opportunities where I get to kind of hear from you and work with you and do photo shoots with you or video case studies and things like that. And that's just really fun, because you get to hear the stories, like the success stories, but you also hear the challenges, and it's just really fascinating to kind of see how technology impacts what people do, but also just kind of understanding the realities of business and accountancy. It's just, I really enjoy that.
Okay. Another question. The relationship between sales and marketing can either be symbiotic or very strained. In your opinion, why do you think it can be strained to some degree? Because I'll load it a little bit more. In my opinion, sales and marketing are like two sides of the same coin. But in my experience, I've seen sometimes when sales and marketing just don't gel. I don't know why. And it doesn't always happen. I've seen it work really well. But in your opinion, do you know why it might not work so well?
I think there's probably lots of different ways. It depends on the way a business is structured, I guess. It's obviously really important to be heading down the same direction. So if you've got a sales team over here and a marketing team over here, and they're sort of focusing on different goals, that can obviously cause some friction, because the sales team might want some assets that help them with their message, but the marketing team's off saying, no, we're doing this thing. But I think having a real close collaboration, working together, and having a strong relationship at leadership level will hopefully trickle down. There's also salespeople sell based on the need of the customer that's in front of them often, right? So they're having a conversation with their accounting partner who needs one specific thing. And so they're looking at, all right, how do I help you solve your specific problem? What kind of tech can I recommend to you, or whatever it might be? Whereas with marketing, it's much more one to many, and we're building bigger stories. And I guess the other point is there are so many variations of what a salesperson is selling. Whereas with marketing, we don't have the resource to create a case study for every single kind of business type or vertical, or like the thing that necessarily covers the right element of the product that they want to talk about, etc. So yeah, I think it definitely comes down to focus and priority, but then also collaboration and kind of working out where we can help each other.
Okay.
But yeah, it can be tricky.
Cool. That was a good answer. Thank you. Yeah. Do you mind if we go down the list of words that I put on my post a couple of days ago? Some of them are marketing buzzwords, and if you could possibly explain or describe them, I'd love to hear what you think of them. Is that okay?
Sure. I remember reading this thinking, I don't think I know any of those words. Maybe one,
Okay.
maybe there was sass in there, but anyway, yeah, go for it.
I mean, we can skip if you
Probably
want. I'm not
make a
trying to
fool of
catch you out. I'm
myself.
just no. Okay, so the first one was advertainment. I mean, I think it's pretty self-explanatory, but
Yeah, that seems pretty self-explanatory. I guess it's an advert that is a bit fun, a bit interesting, that comes across as not a sales tool, marketing tool, but is actually just to make you laugh or smile or something. I'm not
sounds
really
about right.
sure.
I mean, I googled it. That sounds like the Google answer, so thanks. Okay, next one, hyperlocal. So
I
what
am
is
Google.
hyperlocal marketing?
Hyperlocal is when you go like focus on one single market and then you use that market. So you might say, you might go to Bristol and say, I'm going to make up a number here because I don't know the number, so I'm going to exaggerate it. So you say 1 million businesses in Bristol use Xero. And
Right.
that would be an example of hyperlocal because you are honing in on that one region. And maybe actually hyperlocal is even more specific, but yeah, that's
Thank you
probably
for
the
explaining.
best example I can come up with.
I'm going to do two more, and they're possibly the hardest ones. So the other one is Solomo, Solomo.
Solomo.
Yeah, so like the S is capitalized, the L is capitalized, and the M is capitalized. If you don't know, that's cool, because this was some extensive
I don't
Googling
know.
on
Do
my
you know?
part.
What is it?
Again, apparently it's the combination of social, local, and mobile. So the convergence of media location-based. I don't know. I'm reading off Google right now. It just sounds like what most people would do, or what most marketers would do in the 21st century. Like you'd have that as part of your strategy anyway. I don't know who labeled
Yeah,
it.
sounds like a fancy name for it.
Yeah. And the next one, and this is possibly the hardest one. I'm not trying to be mean, I promise. UGC as an acronym. Like I don't know what that means.
Unique something? No, I've got no idea. What is it?
Apparently, it stands for user-generated content.
Oh, yeah, of course. When you hear things like that out of context, yeah.
Yeah. Again, when I said it, I probably said it like in a weird way, which actually kind of leads me on to my next thing. So, content. In the time that I have been working as an adult, the word content is not a new word, but it seems like it's become a word that's used more in social media marketing. In your experience, have you seen that change again, just in your course of time in industry?
Have I seen content change or the meaning of content?
Both. So the meaning of it and the content itself change.
Yeah, maybe not so much the meaning of it. The content itself has definitely changed. Like if you think back to early days, social media was really just Twitter, right? Like that was where Twitter used to be the business social media platform of choice, I think, like 15 years ago. But the definition of content was like sharing a link to an article about a thing.
Yeah.
Or just saying a thing, like saying a statement. We believe in this at this company, or whatever it might be. Or I don't know, maybe brands trying to be funny. I'm not sure brands were funny on Twitter 15 years ago.
I mean,
But yeah,
Audi
then
are
over time,
billionaires.
obviously, it's yes. Well, now they are, yeah. But back then, probably not so much. Yeah, I think brands are really kind of leaning into their personalities in terms of content these days, and obviously video content is way more popular. Um, yeah, there's a lot of investment in video for social and digital for sure. So
I'm going to ask
yeah,
you another daft question. If you could only eat one meat for the rest of your life, forsaking all others, I'm assuming you eat meat and aren't vegan. What meat slash animal would you be choosing?
I'd I'd probably have to go chicken.
Yeah.
It's just so versatile.
So no beef burgers, no spaghetti bolognese, no bacon. You're having chicken.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's tough. It's a real tough one because I do like meat. I did grow up on a farm and I was, indoctrinated into the world of meat. But
Ah, I did not know that
um,
about you. So your parents are farmers.
kind of, yeah. My dad was he trained thoroughbred horses, so race horses in New
Oh
Zealand.
wow.
Yeah, so galloping. I grew up going to the races every weekend or every couple of weekends with dad, and yeah, so he had a horse stud, um, which was great fun. So we had horses around, but then he had like cattle and sheep, and we had chickens and
So
dogs, cats,
presumably that
etc.
means you can ride a horse. You like I assume you did that from a young age. And
I
did you have
can
a
ride
horse
a
when
horse, yes.
you were a young girl? Did you have a horse? What was your horse's name?
I actually didn't. My older sister did, and his name was Flicker. And what's kind of slightly amusing about Flicker is that we gave him away because he flicked off my sister too many times. So yeah, he was a bit of a naughty pony. Um, but yeah, I used to ride my friends' horses mostly. My dad was very protective of us because he knows what a very very large racehorse is capable of, and they pack a big punch or kick, if you
Oh
will,
yeah,
and
they weigh like a ton and a
so
half,
he
right?
was
And
quite
they're just pure
cautious.
muscle.
Yeah, yeah,
So yeah,
yeah.
okay.
So I spent lots of time with them, but he was always a bit cautious of us being around them too much.
So I mean, what was the best thing about growing up on a farm or smallholding?
Oh, it was awesome. Just like the space and the green, and I would. This is one of the stories that I tell my daughter at bedtime that she loves me telling her. I would
Hmm.
get my book and my dog, and we would just I don't know how old I was, probably quite young, 7 or 8. And we would just walk to the back of the farm. I'd take a little picnic and I'd sit on the hay bales at the very back of the farm in the sun in the summer and just read my book with my dog. And it was just so pure and lovely. It's like one of the nicest memories that I have of the farm. We also had a tree that had like a school chair. We put a school chair in it. And over the years the tree kind of like grew around the chair, and so it became like a tree with a chair in it.
That's
You,
amazing.
it's still there, obviously, but yes, we used to go
That's
sit in
awesome.
there and
I'm trying to
have
think when I
play
was
with
that
my
age,
siblings.
I'd be reading a lot of Roald Dahl books, so like the BFG Charlie and Chocolate Factory. Is that what you would have read, or was it different in New Zealand, like different kind of authors?
No, absolutely. Spot on. Roald Dahl. Yeah.
Fantastic. All right, let's bring it back to business. That was thank you for sharing
All
that. By
right.
the way, I did know that about you. I just assumed you were a full-on city girl, but no, good to know. Yeah.
No.
One of the things I like about Zero is the ease of reporting. So, as most people know, I am not an accountant, but I know that the metrics you can get from good books and accounts is what really drives the numbers and what really drives the value for most non-accountants. Zero have done a ton of reports. What's coming up that you're allowed to
You're
talk about?
asking the wrong person.
Wrong person.
God, I
All
don't
right.
know. Um, I mean, I couldn't tell you specifically. There's so many parts of our product, and the reporting is definitely not the bit that I'm like super skilled up on. I know that we've just obviously migrated to our new reports, and so there's lots going on in terms of updating um, the old ones and making sure that they're fit for purpose. So I think that's the main focus. But yeah, it's probably the best I could tell you on in reports. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. I didn't. You can't know everything. Zero is a massive product, and yeah, you can't know everything. Um, are you allowed to give me any sneak peeks on any upcoming campaigns, or they'll hush hush?
Um, Upcoming campaigns. We've got, so next week we've got Roadshow starting, where we'll be talking about practice efficiency. So there's some cool stuff coming out of that. The team, I don't think it's a secret. I could probably tell you. The team are working on a cool thing called X Hacks,
X.
and it's called yeah. So it's all about sort of debunking some of the ways of working inside Xero for accountants and bookkeepers. So helping people to yeah, giving them some tips and tricks on how to use Xero more efficiently and effectively for your practice. So that'll be fun. There's lots coming on, or lots that the team will be talking about next week in terms of Xero tax, integrated practice management, etc. So yeah, there's lots going on all the time. We're also launching a report next month called Money Matters, and that is all around small businesses and how they're faring at the moment. So, you know, how the economic environment is impacting them, kind of like what's the status in terms of their well-being, their confidence, the ways that they're thinking about digitization and planning for their business. And this is all kind of wrapped up in this kind of theme of how Xero can support small businesses with cash flow. Obviously, it has been and still is a really tough time for small businesses. And we've done a lot of research on this topic. Like the days to payment is crazy. It's like 29 plus days. People getting paid 7 days late on average, and the impact of that is that businesses don't have cash in the bank, right? And you know, I'm sure most of the audience for this is accountants and bookkeepers, so I'm preaching to the choir here, but it's all about how we can help small business customers to make the most of Xero as a product, and kind of have real visibility of their cash flow, have use the product to improve their cash flow, and then really kind of take control of it and feel, like you should be able to log in there and see, your money coming in, your money going out. It's like the basics, getting bank feeds connected and using HubDoc or Dext, and tagging on a online payments kind of app to your invoices so that you get paid faster. Setting up invoice reminders, and there's all these things that to many accountants and bookkeepers, I think, who really know Xero really well, will be thinking, oh yeah, duh, of course we do that. But there's so many small businesses who are using Xero and they don't have their bank feeds connected, or they don't realize that they can just scan a bill or their expenses with an app and have the tech do all the jobs for them. So yeah, that's kind of where we're focusing a lot for small businesses, as well as how we can help them with cash flow. And that's where the Money Matters report comes in to kind of get that story going.
Can I ask you another mean question?
Sure.
Again, you don't have to answer. So Xero Tax, really cool product. We actually use it at KR for FRS 105 filings. There's been talk about FRS 102.1A for a while. Do you know anything about it? Any updates, any information? Or, nah, not with you?
Do you know what? Like, I wish I could tell you the answer is yes. I haven't done any kind of like product marketing stuff on Xero Tax in ages, because my teammate works on that mostly. So I couldn't tell you. I'm sorry. That's terrible.
No,
but if anyone wants to find out,
all.
I can find out for you. Put something in the comments after this if you're like, okay, I really want to know the answer, and I will go and ask my colleagues sitting at their desk over there.
You have nothing to apologise for. I said this is a casual chat, and then I asked you a very mean question. So apologise for asking you a mean question. That's not cool.
That's all right. No, it's totally cool.
Do you have any questions for me, by the way?
Yeah. What's the thing that Xero can do for you and your firm that would make a real difference that we've not done yet?
Ooh, that is a really good question. What is something that Xero could do for me and my firm that make a big difference? I'm going to give a very corny answer. There was a specific report that was removed that I would love back. The report was you're making notes. The report was the connected apps report, right? So at any given point, you could see how many Xero licenses we had that were active, and you could see which bank was connected and which apps were connected. That was a very useful report.
You mean
I
in
didn't use
Zero
it every
HQ,
day
the
in
Explorer
Zero
tab?
HQ. Yeah,
Yeah,
that
yeah, I
one.
know.
Now,
I love that
it
as
didn't
well.
get used every day or every week, but when I used it, it was really, really useful for helping driving change internally and with our clients. And also for helping us, we had, we've got different types of clients. We've got some who are Luddites, right? They're on Xero. They don't know we use it for internal processing. We've got the middle of the ground clients that kind of know we use Xero, and they might have a bank fee turned on. And then we've got some exemplary clients who take Xero, who look at all the different apps and go, I think this will work for me. They do their own exploration. They kind of make me somewhat obsolete. And it's good to see, it's interesting to see what some clients are looking at in certain sectors and go, actually, this one's becoming popular. And it really helps us as a firm because we offer systems advisory as a service. It's my thing. But it's also great to get that feedback from clients who are actually using it because, no offense to some of the fintech vendors, they're obviously going to say their product is the best for the market, whether that's OCR, Dex, whether that's HubDoc, whether that's manufacturing and all that. Their job is to sell their product. And they're all very, very good. But the proof is always in the pudding. And with that report, when we had vendors approach us and say, oh, we work in med tech or biotech, we've got a very niche add-on that links to Xero, well, we could say, well, actually, we've got 40 clients and they're all using your competitor. There must be a reason for that. Now, it might be that that competitor's good at better at marketing and sales, but at least it gave us something to look at. So it was very useful, I'd say, for bigger practices, especially when it came to like digital migration and all that kind of stuff.
You are preaching
Very
to the
long
choir
answer.
on that one, Dale. Yeah.
Yeah. So that
I
would be the one thing for me personally.
Yeah, no, that's great. And I'm going to use that to share with our product team because I actually sent a Slack post into our product team chat maybe like a month ago, being like, hey, can we please have this one back? Because yeah, it's really helpful for not just you, but us as well. Like it helps because it means that we can point you in the direction. If you're like, hey, I want to know whether my clients are using whatever app or whatever bank fee, you can just say, just jump in there. But yeah, I hear you.
Yeah. So
Thanks for letting me
that's
know.
my one, and then I think the wider one, like I said, is linked to the mean question I asked you earlier, is about zero tax. So for some of our clients, FROS 105 is just isn't suitable, and it's
Yeah.
difficult for us to have some clients using filing for FRS 105 and some for 10210 using different systems. But I think that's a bigger piece. So the first thing I said was based on me and my role, and I think a lot of firms, especially larger firms, are like, okay, FRS 10210 would be fantastic at some point.
All right. I'm like, I hear those 3 letters and, well, sometimes 4 letters and 3 numbers frequently in discussion around the office. So I'm sure that that there's some plans in place. But I'll find out for you.
Thanks, appreciate it. Okay,
All good.
I'm going to start wrapping things up. First of all, I want to say thank you for doing this because I know you're busy, you've got stuff to do. The last question is a really simple one. Do you have any kind of nuggets, truths that you kind of want to just drop as a final statement regarding you, your role, and what you do, or even the organization you work for?
No, I don't think so. But I guess the one thing that I would probably get across, if we're thinking about your audience being accountants and bookkeepers, right?
What for this show, or
Yeah,
no? It's not aimed at anyone in
all
particular. I
sorts.
get a kind of a cross. I
Anyone.
get a cross section. So yeah, when I look at analytics, it's literally lots of different business types.
Okay, interesting. So I guess the key thing for me is if you're using accounting software for your business, make sure you're using all the bits and pieces that can help you. Don't just connect it and think, cool, we're good to go now. Check out all the apps that are available, all the things that are going to solve your problems. I talked to a really awesome small business owner this morning who told us about what his business was like before and then what it was like when he found a really great accountant and when he found Xero and the apps that he ended up using. And he said the difference that all of that combined made to his life was like almost immeasurable. And he's now got an incredibly thriving business, and he's exporting into America, and he's got his product sold by John Lewis and Selfridges, and it just was really cool to hear. And so I guess I'd just say, like, yeah, utilize the tech that's there, that's available and at your fingertips, and find advisors to really help you. And if you are an advisor, do everything that you can to learn about the right tech and the things that are actually going to help your small business clients thrive, because small businesses are what makes our world go round. So that's why we do what we do at Xero.
Awesome. Ash, thank you so much for joining me. I genuinely appreciate it. And thank you for sharing your time, your knowledge, and answering all my silly questions. I'm going to hit end stream. It takes 5 seconds to end, so please keep smiling. Otherwise, you might get frozen on like a silly face.
No problem. Thank you for having me.